The aurora borealis painted ribbons of green and purple across the Arctic sky as Dr. Naomi Wright checked the seismic monitors for the third time that night. Something was wrong with the readings. The tremors she detected weren't following any normal patterns for the region, and they seemed to be intensifying. The Svalbard research station wasn't equipped for anything beyond its primary mission of studying climate change impacts, but as the facility's lead geologist, Naomi couldn't ignore the anomalous data. She pulled up the satellite imagery, searching for any visible disturbances in the ice sheet. That's when she saw it, a perfect circular depression about 2 kilometers from the station. The ice melted in a pattern that defied natural explanation. The thermal imaging showed residual heat signatures unlike anything she'd ever encountered. "Control, this is Dr. Wright," she called into her radio. "I'm picking up some unusual readings. Requesting permission to investigate." Static answered her. The communication system had been acting up all evening, another oddity in a night full of them. Making a decision that would change her life forever, Naomi began suiting up for the bitter cold. 20 minutes later, she stood at the edge of the depression, her headlamp illuminating what was clearly not a natural formation. The ice had been melted and refrozen in concentric circles, and at the center lay something that reflected her light in ways that metal shouldn't. As she approached, a figure emerged from behind the object, tall, slender, with skin that seemed to shift colors like the aurora above. Naomi's scientific mind tried to categorize what she was seeing, but nothing in her experience could explain the being before her. "Please," the creature spoke, its voice resonating in Naomi's mind rather than her ears. "I mean no harm, but I need help." The being stumbled, its iridescent skin flickering like a failing light. Naomi rushed forward, catching it before it fell. The moment their bodies touched, she felt a strange tingling sensation, as if every cell in her body had suddenly become aware of a new possibility. "I am Varix," the alien managed, its form growing more translucent by the second. "My kind, we cannot survive without sustenance. Your species, compatible." Naomi's mind raced. The creature was clearly dying, and something about its words triggered a memory, old legends of beings that fed on human life force. But this was no supernatural encounter, this was first contact with an advanced species, one that apparently had a biological dependency she was only beginning to understand. "What do you need?" Naomi asked, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "Blood," Varix whispered, the word carrying both shame and desperate need. "But we never take without consent. Better to die than violate." Naomi looked at her instruments. Varix's vital signs were fading rapidly, and the temperature was dropping. Whatever decision she was going to make, it had to be now. "You have my consent," she said firmly, already unzipping her thermal suit to expose her neck. "I'm Dr. Naomi Wright, and I choose to help you." "You don't understand," Varix warned, even as their form began to solidify slightly at the prospect of survival. "The bond, permanent. Changes both." "I'm a scientist," Naomi replied. "Change is what we study. Now please, before you die." The sensation when Varix fed was unlike anything Naomi had imagined. There was pain, yes, but also something else, a connection forming, thoughts and memories flowing between them like data streams. She saw crystal cities floating in violet skies, felt the desperation of a species searching the stars for compatible life, understood the honor code that had led many of Varix's kind to choose death over forced feeding. When it was over, they both knew nothing would ever be the same. Through their newly formed bond, Naomi could feel Varix's strength returning, along with an urgent warning: they weren't alone in the galaxy, and not everything out there was as ethical about first contact. "They followed me," Varix said, their thoughts now clear in Naomi's mind. "The purifiers. They believe my kind are an evolutionary mistake that must be erased. And now they'll come here," Naomi finished, understanding flowing through their bond. "To Earth." Above them, the aurora's dance took on a more ominous cast, as if nature itself sensed the approaching storm. Humanity's first official contact with alien life was about to become a fight for survival, and the only ones who knew it were a human scientist and the alien who had just changed her forever. Through their strengthening bond, Naomi felt Varix's determination match her own. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. The real question was, would the rest of humanity be ready for the truth about their place in a universe far stranger and more dangerous than anyone had imagined? The Svalbard Research Station's medical bay had never felt so inadequate. Dr. Naomi Wright stared at her microscope's display, watching in fascination as her blood cells interacted with a sample of Varix's tissue. Through their newly formed bond, she could feel the alien's anxiety mixing with her own scientific curiosity. "Extraordinary," she muttered, adjusting the magnification. "Your cells aren't just consuming mine, they're creating something new. A perfect fusion." "That is why the bond is permanent," Varix explained, their iridescent skin rippling with patterns that Naomi was beginning to recognize as emotional indicators. "Our species evolved as symbiotes, but our original partners were wiped out millennia ago. We've been searching the galaxy for compatible species ever since." The lab security system chimed, warning of an incoming transmission. Naomi quickly cleared her screen as Director Patel's face appeared on the monitor. "Dar. Right," the director's voice was tense. "We've lost contact with 3 weather stations in your region. The Norwegian military reports unusual atmospheric disturbances. Care to explain why you haven't responded to communications for the past 6 hours?" Naomi felt Varix's alarm through their bond. The purifiers were moving faster than expected. "Director, we have a situation here that's going to sound impossible." Before she could continue, the facility's lights flickered. Through their bond, Varix shared a flash of recognition, electromagnetic interference from purifier scanning technology. "They're already here," Varix's thoughts echoed in Naomi's mind. "We need to leave. Now." "Dr. Wright?" Director Patel's image was breaking up. "We're detecting multiple anomalous objects entering the atmosphere. Military forces are en route to your location. Do not attempt to dash." The transmission cut off as the facility's power grid failed. Emergency lights cast red shadows across the lab as Naomi rushed to gather essential data. "Your military cannot stop them," Varix moved to help her, their movements perfectly synchronized through their strengthening bond. "The purifiers have spent millennia perfecting the art of species extinction. They believe they're cleansing the galaxy of evolutionary dead ends. And they consider your people one of those dead ends." Naomi downloaded her research data onto a portable drive, her mind already processing the implications through their shared consciousness. "Yes, but it's more than that now." Varix's skin darkened to a deep indigo. "Through our bond, I can access your knowledge of human genetics. Your species has incredible adaptive potential, exactly what the purifiers fear most." The facility shuddered as something massive passed overhead. Through their bond, Naomi saw glimpses of massive ships, their designs built around concepts that human mathematics hadn't yet discovered. "The genetic compatibility between our species isn't random," Varix continued, helping Naomi into her cold weather gear. "My people have watched humanity for centuries, seeing something in your DNA that others missed. You're not just compatible with us, you might be the key to saving both our species." The medical bay's reinforced door groaned as something outside began cutting through it. Naomi felt Varix's fighting instincts flow into her mind, along with the knowledge of how to use them. "The sample freezer," she said, "already moving. It connects to the maintenance tunnels. We can reach the emergency vehicle bay." They slipped through the hidden access just as the door breached. Through their bond, they caught glimpses of armored figures wielding technology that seemed to bend reality itself. "Even if we escape," Naomi thought as they navigated the tunnels, their bond allowing them to move as one, "where can we go? They'll track us anywhere on Earth." "Not anywhere," Varix's response carried an edge of hope. "Before my ship crashed, I managed to hide something in the ice. Something that could change everything, the complete genetic database of my people, including our research on human compatibility. They emerged into the vehicle bay, the Arctic wind howling through gaps in the walls. A heavily modified snowcat sat ready, its engine block retrofitted with experimental thermal technology. The purifiers aren't just here to eliminate my kind, Varric said as they quickly prepared the vehicle. They're here because they've seen humanity's potential. Your species is approaching an evolutionary crossroads. The purifiers want to make sure you take the path they choose. The bay doors exploded inward as Naomi started the engine. Through their bond, they both felt the approaching hunters, their thoughts alien and cold with purpose. Then we'll have to show them, Naomi gunned the engine, that humanity already knows how to choose its own path. The snowcat burst through the storm and into the polar night, carrying with it two beings whose bond might represent the next step in human evolution, if they could survive long enough to prove it. Behind them, the lights of pursuing vehicles began to appear, and above, through breaks in the storm clouds, massive ships moved like predatory shadows against the star-filled sky. The hunt was on, and the future of two species hung in the balance. Through their strengthening bond, Naomi and Varric shared a single thought: sometimes survival means becoming something entirely new. The snowcat's engine roared as Naomi navigated through the Arctic darkness, each turn guided by Varric's inherited knowledge of pursuit tactics. Through their bond, they worked in perfect synchronization, Naomi's understanding of the terrain melding with Varric's advanced spatial awareness. 3 vessels following on the ground, Varric communicated through their link. 2 more above, waiting to cut off escape routes. Their iridescent skin pulsed with tactical calculations that Naomi could now instinctively understand. They're hurting us, Naomi realized, feeling Varric's confirmation. But why not just shoot us down? Because of what we represent, Varric's thoughts carried complex layers of meaning. A successful bond between our species proves something they've feared for millennia, that evolution doesn't follow their rules. The snowcat crested a ridge, revealing the vast expanse of the Arctic ice sheet ahead. Through their strengthening bond, Naomi accessed Varric's memories of similar pursuits on distant worlds. The purifiers never failed to catch their prey, but they'd never hunted a bonded pair quite like this before. There, Varric pointed to a seemingly random spot on the horizon. My ship's emergency beacon is still active. The genetic database is hidden in a stasis field nearby. A blast of energy carved through the ice beside them, the snowcat's reinforced hull barely deflecting the radiation wash. The purifiers were done playing games. They're trying to disable us without destroying the database, Naomi understood, swerving to avoid another blast. They want to study us first, understand how our bond works. Through their connection, Varric shared a chilling glimpse of purifier research facilities, sterile chambers where bonded pairs were systematically separated, their connections severed for analysis. The pain of such separations echoed across species and space. Not going to happen, Naomi growled, pushing the snowcat's experimental engine beyond its tested limits. The vehicle's frame groaned as she executed a maneuver that combined her knowledge of ice dynamics with Varric's grasp of momentum physics. They slid down an ice shelf, using the crystalline structure to scatter their thermal signature. The pursuing vehicles hesitated, their pilots suddenly uncertain which of the multiple heat blooms to follow. The database isn't just a record of my people's past, Varric explained as they gained precious distance. It contains the key to understanding why humans are different. Your species wasn't just compatible by chance. A massive shadow passed overhead, one of the purifier ships moving to cut off their escape. Naomi felt Varric's memories surge through their bond, revealing a truth that changed everything. Your people seeded Earth, Naomi gasped, the realization flowing between them. Not with your own DNA, but with potential, Varric completed. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when we found your evolving species, we saw something unique. Your DNA wasn't just adaptable, it was actively seeking new paths of evolution. We simply nudged it in certain directions. The Snowcat's engine coughed, the experimental systems reaching critical levels. Behind them, the Purifier ground forces were regrouping, and ahead, the ship was charging weapons that could turn the ice sheet to steam. That's why they're really here, Naomi understood, the knowledge crystallizing through their bond. Not just to eliminate your people, but to prevent humanity from reaching its full potential. We're living proof that their vision of controlled evolution is wrong. Yes, Varix's thoughts carried both pride and concern. And now we have no choice but to show them exactly what that potential looks like. Through their bond, they shared knowledge of what needed to be done. The maneuver would be impossible for either species alone, but together. Naomi spun the Snowcat toward the approaching ship, its sensors surely detecting their desperate charge. The database contains more than just genetic records, doesn't it? It contains everything, Varix confirmed, their skin rippling with patterns of determination. Including the frequency codes that can disrupt Purifier shielding technology. We just have to get close enough to transmit them. The ship's weapons powered up, painting the ice with deadly energy. But through their bond, Naomi and Varix had already calculated the exact path between the beams, using the vehicle's momentum and the ice sheet structure in ways neither science could achieve alone. Ready? Naomi's thoughts merged with Varix's, their separate knowledge becoming something entirely new. Together, Varix responded, their bond humming with shared purpose. The Snowcat shot forward, carrying with it the hopes of two species and a truth that would shake the foundations of human history. Above them, the Purifier ship began to realize that its prey wasn't running away, it was attacking. But by then, it was already too late to stop what was coming. Sometimes evolution's greatest leaps forward come not from careful planning, but from desperate moments when different species realize that survival means becoming something greater than themselves. And in the Arctic night, beneath the aurora's ethereal dance, humanity's next evolutionary step was about to take a very unexpected turn. The Snowcat sliced through the Arctic night like a bullet, its modified engine screaming as Naomi and Varix pushed it beyond all reasonable limits. Through their bond, they moved as one entity, each motion precisely calculated to thread between the Purifier ship's energy beams. Transmission range in 30 seconds, Varix communicated, their skin pulsing with streams of data as they prepared the database's shield-disrupting codes. But they'll detect the upload attempt. The massive ship loomed ahead, its angular form an absolute denial of natural evolution. Energy weapons carved deadly patterns across the ice, but they weren't trying to destroy the Snowcat, they were trying to trap it. They still think we're running, Naomi thought back, their shared consciousness analyzing every shift in the Purifier's attack pattern. They don't understand what the bond really means. Through their connection, Varix shared deeper knowledge of why the Purifiers feared bonded pairs so much. It wasn't just the sharing of knowledge or the enhanced capabilities, it was what the bond represented. Proof that evolution could take unexpected paths, that different species could become more than the sum of their parts. The Snowcat's hull temperature was reaching critical levels as they pushed it through another impossible maneuver. Ice sublimated instantly around them, creating a steam cloud that confused the ship's targeting systems. Even if we transmit the codes, Naomi's thoughts raced through possibilities, they have ground forces closing in. We'll never reach the database's location in time. We don't have to. Varix's response came with a surge of determination. The database isn't hidden in the ice. It's inside me. The revelation flowed through their bond, the crystal database had been integrated into Varix's biological matrix. Their entire cellular structure had been transformed into living data storage. That's why you were willing to die rather than feed without consent, Naomi understood. The database isn't just information, it's become part of your evolution. And now, through our bond, it's becoming part of yours. The Purifier ship sensors finally recognized the true nature of their approach. Its energy weapons shifted from containment to desperate defense, but it was too late. The Snowcat launched off a pressure ridge, sailing through the air toward the vessel's primary sensor array. In that moment of flight, Naomi and Varix's consciousness merged completely. The database's codes flowed through their bond, amplified by their combined understanding of both human and alien science. They weren't just transmitting data, they were demonstrating evolution in action. The ship's shields flickered and failed. But the purifiers had one last defense. A pulse of targeted radiation swept out, designed to sever the neural connection between bonded pairs. Instead of breaking their bond, the pulse encountered something unprecedented. The database within Varix wasn't just being transmitted, it was being transformed by its passage through their connection. Human adaptability met alien complexity, creating patterns that defied the purifier's understanding of genetics. They tried to control evolution, Varix's thoughts intertwined with Naomi's as the ship's systems began to crash. To make it follow their rules. But true evolution breaks the rules, Naomi completed, their shared consciousness expanding as the database's full potential unlocked. It finds new paths. The snowcat slammed into the ship's hull, but they were no longer just a human and alien fighting for survival. They had become a template for what humanity could become, not through controlled breeding or genetic engineering, but through the willing partnership of different species. Alarms blared throughout the purifier vessel as its crew confronted an impossible truth: their quarry wasn't trying to escape with the database. They were becoming the database, transforming its ancient knowledge into something entirely new. More ships approaching, Varix warned, their shared senses detecting massive energy signatures dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The purifiers are calling in their extinction fleet. But through their bond, neither fear nor despair flowed. Instead, there was a growing recognition: the purifiers had made a fatal mistake. By hunting them to this remote location, they had given Naomi and Varix exactly what they needed: time for their bond to evolve into something unprecedented. They thought they were containing a threat. Naomi's thoughts merged with Varix's as the new ships appeared in the aurora-lit sky. Instead, they're about to witness the next step in both our species' evolution. The database within them continued to transform, human adaptability merging with alien complexity to create something that transcended both. Above the Arctic ice, beneath the dance of the northern lights, a new kind of evolution was taking place, one that would challenge everything the purifiers thought they knew about the destiny of intelligent life. The real question was, would the rest of humanity be ready for what they had become? Through their bond, Naomi and Varix shared a single certainty: after tonight, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The Arctic sky blazed with the energy signatures of a dozen purifier ships, their massive forms blocking out the stars as they surrounded the crash site. Inside the damaged vessel where Naomi and Varix had made their stand, reality itself seemed to be shifting. Their bond had transcended its original limits, transforming them into something that even the database's ancient records hadn't predicted. Through their shared consciousness, they could feel the purifiers' growing confusion and fear. "They're scanning us," Varix communicated, their form now rippling with patterns that reflected both their original biology and human DNA structures. "But they can't understand what we're becoming." "Because they've never seen true symbiosis before," Naomi responded, her own cellular structure now pulsing with alien complexity. "They've been so focused on controlling evolution that they forgot its most basic principle. Adaptation requires change," they thought together, their separate minds working as one. "And change requires difference." The Purifier Extinction Fleet launched its first attack, not with weapons, but with targeted genetic disruptors designed to unravel hybrid life forms. The energy washed over Naomi and Varix, but instead of destroying them, it provided raw material for further transformation. Through their enhanced consciousness, they accessed the database's deepest records. The truth about Earth's history unfolded before them. Humanity hadn't just been guided by Varix's people, they had been preparing for this moment for millennia. "Your DNA was never meant to be stable," Varix shared the revelation. "It was designed to seek out beneficial changes, to adapt not just through random mutation, but through active incorporation of compatible patterns. And your people, Naomi understood, you weren't dying out. You were waiting. Searching the galaxy for a species that could help you take the next evolutionary step. The Purifier's ships launched a second attack, this time with weapons that could reshape molecular bonds. But the energy only accelerated the process that had already begun. The database wasn't just information anymore, it had become a blueprint for a new kind of life. Through their expanded awareness, Naomi and Varix broadcast a message that every human and purifier in range could hear: evolution isn't a ladder to climb. It's a web to weave. The Purifier's response was immediate and devastating. The extinction fleet unleashed its full arsenal, determined to erase what they saw as an abomination against their vision of controlled genetic destiny. But they had waited too long. The transformation was complete. Naomi and Varix stood as one being, neither human nor alien, but something that demonstrated evolution's true potential. Their combined form radiated energy patterns that interfered with the Purifier's weapons, turning their own technology against them. Humanity won't follow your path, their unified voice resonated across all frequencies. We found a better way. The database's knowledge, filtered through their perfect synthesis, reached out to the Purifier ships. Not to destroy, but to show them what they had refused to see: countless examples across the galaxy of species achieving greatness through cooperation rather than competition, through diversity rather than purity. The extinction fleet's weapons fell silent as their crews confronted evidence that shattered their fundamental beliefs. Some ships retreated instantly, their worldview broken. Others remained, their sensors recording everything for analysis. Through their bond, Naomi and Varix felt the change rippling out across human civilization. Their transformation had triggered something that had laid dormant in human DNA for millennia: the capacity to evolve through conscious choice rather than random chance. They'll come back, their shared consciousness acknowledged. The Purifiers won't abandon their mission easily. But they'll find a different humanity waiting, their unified form pulsed with certainty. One that understands that evolution's greatest achievements don't come from forcing species to follow a single path. As the Arctic dawn broke over the horizon, painting the ice in colors that their enhanced perception revealed as infinite gradients, they felt other humans awakening to their new potential. The database's knowledge was spreading, not as raw information, but as an awakening of capabilities that had always existed within human DNA. The Purifiers had sought to prevent humanity from reaching its evolutionary potential. Instead, they had catalyzed its emergence. Across the planet, humans would soon discover their ability to adapt and change, not through conquest or competition, but through cooperation and conscious choice. Naomi and Varix's unified form stood as living proof of what humanity could become, not by following someone else's rules for evolution, but by embracing the infinite possibilities that arise when different species choose to grow together. The future they had unlocked wouldn't be without challenges. But they had given humanity something the Purifiers had never understood: the freedom to choose its own evolutionary destiny. Above them, the aurora danced in patterns that their enhanced perception revealed as songs of quantum possibility. They were no longer just observers of evolution's dance, they had become its composers, writing a new symphony of life that would echo across the galaxy. The next chapter in human evolution had begun. And this time, humanity would write its own story, one conscious choice at a time.